Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Riley here with Real Takes, and my co-host Max is here as well. And it looks like he's got a sneeze. No,
I'm
we're
good. Okay, no sneeze. We're
no
fine.
sneeze.
Good morning.
Hashtag transparency.
This is real.
We're here today to review the film we saw last night. We saw A Star Is Born. Gonna try to get some more reviews up on the channel, and it starts with this movie. So just to tell you guys a little bit about it, if you don't know anything, which if you've been living under a rock, you wouldn't know anything about it, I guess. But the film is written, co-produced, co-written, produced, and directed, and starring Bradley Cooper. The film also stars Lady Gaga, Dave Chappelle, Andrew Dice Clay, Sam Elliott, and a couple of other fresh faces who do some good work here. And the film follows the story of aging and alcoholic singer Jackson Maine, played by Bradley Cooper. He discovers Allie, is their last name? I don't think they ever say her.
I
her
don't
last
know
name.
that the last name was ever revealed.
Yeah, we won't. And this is a non-spoiler review as well, so we're not going to talk any spoilers about the film. We're just gonna give our reaction. But anyway, it follows the story of these two after Jackson Maine discovers Allie in a drag bar, after a concert of his, where he goes in to get a drink and hears her sing a stirring rendition of La Vie en Rose, the Edith Piaf song.
Yes, that was a very good version.
And so the story kind of follows their relationship as they go kind of down different paths in the music industry, and she becomes successful, and again he goes down a different path. And the movie, of course, is a remake of a remake of a remake. Obviously, the '76 version with Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson, and then in 1954 as well with I can't think of the male actor's name right now, but Judy Garland plays the female starlet in the film. And we'll start with Max here. Max, what did you think of the movie overall?
I thought it was fantastic. I'd say right now it's probably my favorite movie of the year. The acting was superb. The chemistry between Cooper and Gaga is fantastic. I mean, it's spot on. And
that's the big thing.
The musical numbers are just fantastic. This is not a movie where, they're just phoning it in and lip syncing and that kind of stuff. I mean, this, they're saying the album for this movie could be a contender for album of the year for Grammy. Yeah. Which is fairly unprecedented for a movie soundtrack. Yeah. Of original songs you know what I mean? Right. There's some plot twists, and if you've seen the original movies, the ending is not the same.
No, but you get
it very different.
Yeah, if you've seen any of the originals, you do get a sense of where the film is going. Mm-hmm. But I think if you go into this film clean and not having seen the '76, '54, or even really the 1937 version as well, this is something to behold. I don't think for those who have seen the originals, I don't think it's detrimental. Because the story itself and the way it's told and the way Bradley Cooper shoots this movie is excellent. I also enjoyed the film as well. I think it is also my favorite movie of the year so far. But we got a lot to get to. So I mean, but like I said to you kind of last night, we were walking out of the theater, and I said to you, if there's a movie better than that this year, it's going to be a good year. So.
If there's something that's going to knock that off for Best Picture, I mean, it's going to have to be a fantastic movie.
Yeah, well, First Man is getting a lot of buzz, but we can do a separate podcast on that. Really, real quick, just for me personally, because I do want to talk more about how great this movie is, there's just a couple of flaws that I had with the film. I do think they played it a little too... I think they played to Gaga's strength a little bit too predictably. I understand that for the character it works, and I do agree that it doesn't take away from the film. Ultimately, though, I think they played to Gaga's strengths for sure. I think there is some campy dialogue in this, but it all works, and that's the thing that's so fascinating about this movie is even through some of its flaws, everything works.
And there's no point where you're sitting there you're like, okay, let's go.
And you don't want it, and you don't want it to end. And then when it does end, there really isn't anything I would change about the film. I mean, it does. There are times. I mean, I think some moviegoers will go to this and say a couple of 10, 15, 20 minutes could have been shaved out of it. I don't think that's the case. I think it's paced very well. But the really thing, Max, that gets me here is. This is a brilliant feature debut for Bradley Cooper. I mean, I'm really excited to see what he does as a director. I mean, the way the music the concert scenes are shot. He puts you in there, and the way he moves the camera, he does a really excellent job of really placing that viewer into that world. And I really enjoyed. That was one of the things that struck me the most. And it has a very rich visual style to it. And you know, it's just overall, it's just a really, really well crafted, well made movie.
Well, I think you talk about Cooper's cinematography. I think something that really makes this movie work is...
Well, the movie is shot by Matthew Libatique.
Well, you know what I'm saying, though.
But yes, his choices.
Don't be a snob. What I think makes the movie work is a lot of times, you know, they'll write the album for the movie, whatever, and they'll fit the songs in where they need to be. But with the huge host of songwriters they had on this, Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's son, Jason Isbell, who in my and many other people's opinion is one of the finest songwriters of his generation. What they did was they wrote the songs based off where the character was at that point in the film, what their emotions were. So I think when you hear these songs, you know, they're very hard-hitting because they're written specifically for that moment in time, for that character. You also had Mark Ronson, Hillary Lindsay.
And obviously Lady Gaga does a lot of songwriting.
Yeah, and Lady Gaga, anybody that's listened to her knows she's one of the most talented artists out there. Her vocal range is fantastic. She's a great songwriter, and she brings so much emotion out of her performances, but so does Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper's fantastic.
Cooper blew me away with his talent.
This is Bradley Cooper's best performance on film. Up to this point, I thought for sure it was Silver Linings Playbook because of the range of emotion and things he's able to do. What really struck me, too, about this movie is the raw emotion and the way that Bradley Cooper kind of portrays his character. I mean, if you told me he was drunk the entire time he made this movie, I would believe you. Because the downward spiral of the alcoholism in the movie is portrayed so well. And there are a couple of moments in the movie that feel fantastical to some degree. That I'm not sure. There's a specific moment in the movie that I'm not sure would happen in real life just because of the size and the scope of what they're doing, which we can talk about off air because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But ultimately, what I think is going full circle with this movie is the alcoholism is portrayed so well in this film. Earlier this year, a movie, Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, also portrays alcoholism very well. But this is a very different depiction of it as well. So I love that when we first meet Bradley Cooper going in to meet Lady Gaga in this bar, and then his progression of his character and Lady Gaga's character and the progression of their relationship, alcoholism was the best and worst thing that happened to him, which I think is just a really interesting juxtaposition because he doesn't meet Lady Gaga. This happens in the first 10 minutes of the film. He doesn't meet her if he doesn't need to go get a drink because he's out of liquor in his limo or whatever he's riding in after his concert. Right. So I think that's a really powerful sentiment here as well, is that the alcoholism ultimately is his biggest internal demon, but it also led him to this amazing talent and really, in the film, the love of his life.
Well, and I think, too, and this is going to sound kind of weird to say, but I think they portrayed the alcoholism very well because a lot of times it's caricatured almost.
Very melodramatic.
You're just stumbling around drunk and stumbling, and you're just a big old drunk. But that's not how alcoholism is. He's functioning most of the time, and a lot of time people that don't know him don't even realize that that he's drunk, and I think Cooper did a very fantastic job. Maybe not to the extent that DiCaprio did in Wolf of Wall Street with the Quaaludes, but he did a very good job of portraying that alcoholism as it continues to get worse and is more debilitating. And things obviously happen as a result of that. But I thought he did a fantastic job of portraying that and making you sympathize with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We should also, be real quick, because I do want to wrap this up. We don't like to make these too long. Real quick, I just want to mention Sam Elliott is fantastic in this movie as well. Mm-hmm. He has some very powerful stuff in this movie with Bradley Cooper. And really all the performances. I like the guy, the actor's name, I think is like, I'll look it up real quick, but the guy who plays Lady Gaga's manager is great.
Yep.
He's a villain. It's weird to say villain in a movie like this, just because it's not like a superhero movie,
right?
But he is a villain of sorts. But he's terrific as well. Rafi Gavron is the actor's name. I'm not too super familiar with him, but Andrew Dice Clay too is great in this movie as her really dad. Good. He's not given a ton to do, but when he is given stuff to do, it's really powerful. He's also really great in Blue Jasmine, so I think he definitely. It's interesting to see him kind of go to that different level.
There's a lot of, one other thing for me is there's a lot of really good foreshadowing.
There is
especially with she makes the comments early to her father about, well, you know all about alcoholism and this and that. I think there's a lot of good foreshadowing. I don't agree with what you had said earlier about the first scene, but I think there's a lot of good foreshadowing in the movie.
Well, and I wasn't going to bring that up because I didn't want to. Now people are going to be looking for it, but I just
exactly.
But I think the foreshadowing when done right is really great. I mean, we've talked about The Departed and the foreshadowing that's put throughout that movie, where any character at any time who passes by an X is marked for death, essentially. And
well, the foreshadowing to me is great when you don't realize it until after. The event happens, and you're like, "Oh, I should have seen that coming."
There's just the moment you brought up that I brought up off the air here was just I from the very beginning. Then it became that expectation. But however, I have also seen the other two iterations of this movie, the Judy Garland version and the Barbra Streisand version. So, no, I overall, as we wrap it up here, I think it's an excellent film. On our real take scale of see it, rent it, skip it, this is 100% a see it, and I don't think there's any question about that.
See it again.
It's fantastic. I plan on seeing it again. Marissa unfortunately wasn't able to join us last night, so I'm sure I'll go see it with her. But yeah, it's a deeply affecting, very powerful film, and really the most impressive thing is just for me is seeing that Bradley Cooper has this in him as a filmmaker and as well as an actor. So,
and honestly, Lady Gaga's no slouch.
Oh no, we didn't even bring that up. She's great in the movie.
Her musicality is great, all that, but it doesn't feel like she was shoehorned in there just to make the musical numbers pop. I mean, her acting I thought was very very good. And really the only people who were considered for this role that she ultimately winds up getting were musicians. So I mean, they were going the musician route. And Barbra Streisand was a musician. Judy Garland had done the music before and that kind of stuff. So so that's it for our review of A Star Is Born. We're going to hopefully get a review up for Venom at some point while Max is here, or whatever. We'll have hopefully a lot of reviews for you guys coming down the pipe here as we get into this good movie season here, the award season movies. As always, you can listen to all of our stuff on Breaker, on Stitcher, on Spotify, various other podcast outlets, YouTube. We were talking yesterday that I still hadn't. I realized I hadn't even put up our last episode that we did on YouTube. But we also just recorded a brand new episode of our main show 2 days ago, and that was we had a guest on there talking a little bit about Star Wars. So we'll have that up hopefully this weekend. It's a little departure from our normal.
Yeah, it was Max. Show. Max was a little lit up, but yeah.
I'm on vacation.
That's right.
I was only 6 shots in.
That's right. But we'll definitely have some more reviews up for you guys. So thanks for listening to this review, and as always, we'll see you guys next time.